Forget about boring flashcards and word lists. Today, we're going to do something a little different. We are going to learn 25 pretty powerful vocabulary words just by following a single story from start to finish. It's an amazing way to see these words in action and honestly, to make them stick. So, you might be asking, how can one little story actually teach you 25 new words? Well, it's all about context. When words are part of a narrative, they become unforgettable. So, let's dive right in. Okay, picture this. Our story starts in a small, really peaceful village. The original people who lived there were in perfect harmony with the world around them. You could say their whole lives were defined by this deep, quiet agreement with nature. And these first three words, they just perfectly set that peaceful scene. The village itself was Aboriginal, meaning it had been there from the very earliest times. And the people, the Aborigines, lived in complete accord, that's just a great word for harmony, with the land. Now, their leader was this really wise man who had once been an abbot, which is the head of a monastery. And even though he left that life a long time ago, he brought this sense of calm and wisdom to the whole village. But in every good story, that peace gets disturbed, right? Well, one summer, a very strange problem started. The rain began to fall, and it just wouldn't stop. The river started to swell, and you could feel this little ripple of concern start to spread. You can imagine the villagers were just confused. This rain absolutely refused to abate or lessen. Some people started calling it an aberration, a total departure from what's normal. Others just thought the whole thing was completely absurd. Totally illogical. And this wasn't just a small problem. This constant rain had real effects. The villagers' daily ablution, which was their ritual washing in the river, became impossible because the water was getting so murky. And as you'd expect, an acerbic old man started complaining, with these really sharp, bitter comments for anyone who'd listen. So you see, the problem was really growing. Losing their ablution was a disruption to a deep spiritual routine. And at the same time, that old man's acerbic or sharp personality was starting to poison the mood of the whole village. And here's the twist. It turned out this problem wasn't nature at all. Nope. The real source was a man in the next town over, the owner of an abattoir, which is a slaughterhouse. And he had some very greedy plans for the forest that surrounded our village. This right here, this is the heart of the conflict. It's so clear. While the villagers wanted to live in accord with nature, the owner just wanted to accelerate his business. And to do that, he was planning to abrogate, or basically just cancel, the formal agreement that protected the villagers' forest. So let's connect the dots. The owner of the abattoir wants to accelerate his profits. To do that, he needs to chop down trees, which means he has to abrogate a really old treaty. And yep, his deforestation project was the real cause of all that endless rain. Now, the owner wasn't working alone. Of course not. He had his very clever accountant backing all of his financial schemes. But then things got even messier. A greedy worker and his accomplice decided to abscond, that is, run away secretly with a bunch of the company's money. Sure, later they'd look for absolution, forgiveness, but the damage was already done. This part of the story brings in all these words tied to crime and money, doesn't it? We've got the accountant who enables the whole plan. Then you have the worker and his accomplice who abscond with the cash. And even though they ask for absolution, it's just a total web of deceit. Meanwhile, back in the village, the old chief, the former abbot, he just felt weak and totally overwhelmed by the crisis. So he made a pretty shocking decision. And that decision paved the way for a brand new, totally unexpected leader to rise up, a young teacher with a really clear vision. And this leadership change, this is the pivot point of the whole story. The chief decided to abdicate or formally step down from his position. His abdication left the village needing guidance, and believe me, that young teacher was ready to step right up. She had this simple but incredibly powerful plan. Step 1, abolish any old rules that were holding them back. Step 2, teach the children to never ever abnegate or give up their most important values. And step 3, she would abridge long, complicated stories to make lessons easier for everyone to understand. Her whole method was about clarity. See how these fit together? To abolish is to end something. To abnegate is to reject something precious. And to abridge a story is to shorten it, which creates an abridgment. And as part of that, she also taught the kids how to use an abbreviation. It was all connected. Okay, so armed with this new sense of purpose, the teacher knew what she had to do. She had to confront the businessman directly. She got ready to speak for her entire village, to finally give a voice to their traditions and their connection to the land. And her speech was so powerful. She stood up in front of everyone and declared, "We will not abnegate our traditions or abolish our connection to this land." I mean, wow, she used the very words from her plan to rally all the people. That was the turning point. Thanks to the amazing acoustics in the village hall, every single person heard her powerful words. Her speech just inspired them to unite and stop the businessman for good. And for her incredible bravery, the village gave her the highest accolade they could think of, a special award to honor her leadership. And there we have it, our final two words. The fantastic acoustics of the hall made sure her message was heard loud and clear, and the accolade she received was a perfect symbol of the village's gratitude. And with the deforestation finally stopped, the strange weather just reversed itself. The rain, which was the very first sign of trouble, finally began to abate. Peace and harmony returned, and the people could once again live in accord with the natural world. And just like that, through the journey of one little village, we've explored 25 different really useful words, from abbot all the way to accolade. You actually saw how each one fit perfectly into the story as it unfolded. So that brings us to the final question, which is really for you. After seeing all of these words in action, which one of these 25 new words are you going to use first? Go on, pick one, and try to make it a part of your vocabulary starting today. Thanks so much for joining us.